December. With all the cheer and events, it may be hard to believe, but not too long ago, this month brought only dread. With it came the cold, the dark, and the creatures that roamed the night. But with time came change. History turned to superstition, superstition to fairy tale. And with man-made light in hand, the darkness began to fade away, and so too did the monsters. Or so we thought. Perhaps the monsters simply changed too. What if I told you there is a beast that walks among us? A creature we've ignored for far too long. This winter, I not only confronted this creature, but I invited it into my own home. This is the tale of my run-in with the elf.
We see the elf on the shelf everywhere.
It starts to magically appear in homes all over the world.
But where did it even come from?
Before we get started, I would like to take a moment to thank our sponsor. A big shout out to Established Tittles.
This is not a scam.
Do you like giving your money to shady companies based out of Hong Kong? Well, do I have some advice for you. Don't. Just don't. Instead, why not invest in wacky Christmas ornaments, like this glam shark? Ooh. I paid $2 for this.
What a deal.
And it's never taken my money with vague promises of planting trees. Not once. Invest in glam, not a scam. Paid for by Glam Shark Enterprises.
Christmas, a time of joy and giving, of wonder and myth. Our legends were simple. We had Frosty the Snowman, Jack Frost, Rudolph, and of course, the big man himself, Santa. But then, out of the darkness, came something new. Something that claimed to be of a tradition it did not earn. And slowly but surely, it crept its way into the lives of millions. The Elf on the Shelf. I remember when I first heard whispers of the elf in the late 2000s. I didn't give it much thought at the time, other than the fact that it's ridiculous to claim to be a tradition that never existed. But after nearly 2 decades, I can no longer ignore its power. So what is an elf on the shelf? What is its goal? And what is the state of the homes it has invaded? Knowing nothing, I figured I'd start by talking with someone who has first-hand experience with the elf. Hey, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
So, as I mentioned before, the reason I'm reaching out is to talk to you about your experience with the elf on the shelf.
Oh god, yeah.
Not much of a fan, huh?
It's fine. It's just more of a big pain, really.
Okay, so before we get into it, I know nothing about the elf. And I kind of want to run by what I think it is, and then you can correct me, and then we'll just go on from there, okay?
Okay.
So, obviously, there's an elf on a shelf.
Yeah.
So I assume that you move the elf and place it in different places, and then the kids try to find it, and it becomes like an IRL version of Where's Waldo. And that's pretty much it?
Kind of. There's a lot more to it than that.
Okay, so run me through it then.
So, the elf is like a spy for Santa.
Oh!
Yeah. So, the elf watches your kids all day, and then at night reports back to Santa whether or not they've been good or bad. And then in the morning it comes back and finds a new spot to sit and does the whole thing all over again.
Well, that's concerning.
Yeah.
So we've gone from this vague Santa knows who's naughty or nice, so you better be good, to Santa has sent a militant agent to spy on you, so you better fall in line or else.
Yep, pretty much.
Wow, 'cause nothing says Christmas like a militant surveillance state. Wait, so if it has to be in a new spot every morning, does that mean you're moving it every night?
Yes, that's the worst part. So there are these strict rules you have to follow.
Of course there are.
Yeah. So, 1, you can't touch the elf or it will lose its magic and won't be able to report back to the North Pole. And it's not said, but it's implied that if the elf doesn't deliver its report, that the kid it's watching will be put on the naughty list.
I like that they even thought of a way to protect the elf. Like, that was my first thought. Like, as a kid, I would just get rid of that bitch.
And so if you forget to move the elf, and then it's implied as well that the elf didn't report back to the North Pole, and your kid will start freaking out that they'll be put on the naughty list and not get any Christmas presents.
Yeah, that's great. You know, keeping your kid in a constant state of fear and anxiety, always a good thing.
Yeah, it's really bad.
After my voice chat, I decided to look up a bit of history to see how this all came about. The Elf on the Shelf was written by Carol Abersold and her daughter Chanda Bell in 2004. Now, as the story goes, they couldn't get anyone to publish their book, so they decided to self-publish in 2005, hitting up book fairs and trade shows, making an animation, and eventually getting into the Macy's Day Parade, where it skyrocketed into popularity. Going through the history was disappointing? I don't know if that's quite the right word. I really wanted to know how this became so popular so fast. And honestly, I half expected the creators to come from some, I don't know, big publishing background or family, or just be generally super wealthy, and that's what gave them a springboard into, super fast success. But they're not. From what I can find, they're just average people who made a thing. However, I will say all the information we have about their, self-publishing and their whole wholesome story and all that solely all comes back to them. Now, I'm not saying anything nefarious is going on, but it's never a good thing when all your information comes from the person, especially when they have a large financial incentive to look wholesome and family friendly. I'm sure it's nothing though. I originally wanted to find my elf out in the wild, but I was not sure how available they were going to be in stores. So I decided to buy it online, but I'm still going to go out and see what I can find later. It's $32 for a book and a little doll that's probably made in China? Where is this made, actually? Well, it doesn't say, but I assume it's not made in the US because they'd be banging that war drum for all it's got if it was. But I guess when we get ours, we'll just figure it out then. So this is the main store, so let's see if it's cheaper on like Amazon or something. Alright, so it's $29.95 on Amazon. Sweet babies. Wait a minute. Okay, so I was able to get it same day delivery. Convenient. So I guess it'll be showing up sometime later today. In the meantime, let's go out and see what we can find in the wild. with pure evil on its way to my home, I decided to check out my local Walmart to see what I could find. But nothing could prepare me for the horrors that awaited. They had an entire aisle display with elves, elf pets, games, movies, advent calendars, clothes for the elf pets. The sickness had spread farther than I imagined. But at least I got a better deal online than here. Not wanting to leave empty-handed, I grabbed this disembodied Santa head, don't worry about it, and headed home to find evil waiting on my doorstep. Now, according to the website, we have to first read from the book, then give him a name in order for your elf to have power. That doesn't sound demonic at all. With much anticipation, I opened the book to finally read the story of the elf. With that done, it was time to name the beast. Funny enough, as I stared into its soulless eyes, only one name came to mind. Pietro. So you can't touch them, but according to their website, parents may move them with tongs. So, here we go. With the deed done, I went to bed.
Well, my first night was interesting. I had a dream where Pietro was sitting on my chest, staring down at me, watching me while I sleep. To be fair, my paralysis demon was also there, so I don't know. You know, it was probably just nerves or something from all the excitement. Now, he did fall over, but I don't really think there's anything to that. I think he just fell over. He's got a very lumpy butt, so nothing really there, but I am going to just leave him as he lies.
As I kept looking into the elf, the only consistent thing I found was how much parents hated the elf on the shelf. I mean, there's whole videos on how to get out of doing the elf on the shelf. Hell, even a judge in Georgia did a fake ban on the elf just to give parents an out. But if parents hate the elf so much, how did it infiltrate so many homes? At a loss, I had no choice but to turn to Reddit for the answers. But I guess if you're looking for information on a demon, hell is a good place to look. And after a deep dive, something I had overlooked became clear.
So, how did the elf make it into your home? Did you buy it not knowing what it was? Did your kid really want it or something?
No, so actually it was my mom who bought it for my daughter, because she thought it was cute.
Ah, so you were hoodwinked into doing this.
Yeah, she thought it was just a book that came with a little doll, not realizing that she was piling on another job for me to do every year.
The olds. Majority of the posts on Reddit said it was a grandparent that brought the elf into their homes. It makes sense. If anyone is going to look at this face and think it's cute, it's the olds. I mean, look at the stuff they grew up with. Another way a lot of elves made their way into homes is through schools. The creators admitted an early target for them was scholastic-type book fairs at schools. Many parents say their kids saw the elf at school or even in the classroom and wanted one at home. Not knowing what they were doing, many parents bought them, sealing their fates.
Once your kid reads the book and names the elf, it's over. You really have no choice but to do it every year. At least until they grow out of it.
Because if you don't, then it calls into question Santa's existence.
Exactly. Your options are crush your child's dreams or do the job. And no parent wants to be the one to tell their child Santa isn't real.
Yup, that's clever. That's clever.
No matter which way you look at it, once the elf is in your home, you're trapped.
So, no bad dreams, but I did find this. Not sure exactly how this happened. After some light investigation, I did find these little tiny puncture holes. Now, I do have a cat, my boy, but my boy here has never really shown any interest in stuffed toys. In fact, he doesn't even have any of those little toy mouses because he only likes things that move. So, did my tiger boy attack Pietro, even though he's usually never attacked stuffed animals? Was this just a one-off weird attack? Possibly. Or could Pietro have been moving? Despite my suspicions, I decided to run a test. A test I would come to regret.
So, in the lore, as we know, you cannot touch the elf or it loses its magic. But there is a way to restore the magic should you accidentally touch it. And I'm not making this up, it's literally on their website. In order to get an elf's power back, you have to surround it in a circle of cinnamon with some offerings and leave it overnight. And then in the morning, it regains its power. Nothing demonic about that.
But it got me thinking, what if you took an elf that had never been touched and gave it the cinnamon ceremony? What happens when you supercharge an elf? Well, me and Pietro were about to find out. Well, he's gone. I have looked everywhere for him. He's just nowhere to be found. Pietro is gone. I'm not gonna lie, as night approached, I feared the worst. It has been a week now, and nothing has happened. Well, nothing bad has happened. I do sometimes hear bizarre sounds or catch a shadow moving out of the corner of my eye. Sometimes we even get a glimpse of him every now and then. I feel his presence constantly, but it somehow doesn't feel bad. But then again, I am someone who lives with a paralysis demon. And of course, we can't forget my son. So maybe I'm just used to living with dark entities. However, I did want to end this video on a high note. So I decided to stake out to see if I could catch one last photo of Pietro. And after many failed attempts, on a full moon, I got my shot. And this is quite possibly the best photo I have ever taken. So what is the elf on the shelf? Is it just another soulless product Claiming tradition while preying upon unsuspecting parents? Or is it something more? Something darker? Something we have all long since forgotten? I guess that's something you'll have to decide for yourself. All I can say from my own experience is, be careful what you bring into your home, for things are not always what they seem.
Well, I guess there's only one thing left to do.
This is by far the most evil thing I have ever let into my home. My paralysis demon could not be more thrilled. 10 out of 10 would buy again. P.S. Why is the white elf more expensive than the black elf? Asking for a friend.